Welcome to another edition of Images. We have with us today people from the Oppressed People's Nation. This is a young man and two of his associates involved in the Oppressed People's Nation that I had an opportunity to meet about a week ago, and he's back to talk about his unique program, the things that these young men are doing in the community. So we want to welcome Ernest Smith, who is the founder and the Minister of Defense of the Oppressed People's Nation, Curtis Oatman, who is the Minister of Music, Captain John Gilmore, he's captain of the Oppressed People's Nation, and he's head of security. I want to welcome all three of these fine gentlemen to Images. Welcome.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate it. No, I had an opportunity to meet you last week in a conversation with another person that we had on the program, and I was kind of fascinated by some of the things that we're doing, because we oftentimes hear that people, our young men, aren't doing good things in the community. We always hear the negative. We always hear who robbed who killed who, but we don't talk about all those good things that people are doing quietly without a lot of ink and fanfare and going from house to house and doing some things here. And your organization represents one of those organizations that's out there doing that. But before we get into the Oppressed People's Nation, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Take a little time to say a little bit about who Ernest Smith, John Oatman, and Captain John Gilmore. Who are these people sitting in the studio today?
Yes, sir. Ernest L. Smith, founder and Minister of Defense of the Oppressed People's Nation. I grew up in East Cleveland, went to Mayfair, Kirkenshaw. I used to run the streets. I used to help tear the streets down. Now it's my time to help build the streets up. Came up with a good mother, single home, but still decided to, be on the other side of the fence. Found out a little bit more about myself, and just wanted to help fix things. Found out who I am, realized that we don't get taught our full true history in the schools. Found out that we invented a lot of things on this earth that we don't get credit for. Just wanted to be of a help instead of a nuisance to the community.
And Curtis, tell us a little bit about who you are.
Chris Oatman. I grew up in East Cleveland. And stayed in many places in Cleveland. I done struggled a lot in my life, so I want to help others in the same predicament I was in. You know what I'm saying? So that's the main reason I joined the Oppressed People's Nation.
And you're from East Cleveland?
Yeah.
You grew up in East Cleveland?
I grew up in East Cleveland. I stayed in Cleveland Heights. I just stayed in South Euclid, but the main part of my life, from till like 15 years old, I was in East Cleveland, and back and forth from 15 to 20.
So you're a Sharp Cardinal too.
Yeah.
Both of y'all are Sharp Cardinals. Got two Sharp Cardinals. Now, Captain John Gilmore, tell me a little bit about yourself, Captain.
Well, I grew up. I didn't really grow up where they came from. I grew up on 113th. Most part of my life, I grew up on 113th as a period, and I did a lot of messing up over there, and I actually came to a school called Greater Heights where I met Ernest L. Smith, and he hit me on to a lot of stuff that wasn't right, and I wanted to do something with my life or make a difference. So that's why I came to the Oppressed People's Nation, because I wasn't gonna do nothing but end up dead or in jail. So that's why I finally just came home and just got to getting on my stuff, studying. Oppressed People's Nation brought me a lot of knowledge, so I just want to give back to the community that I helped and stuff.
And people in the audience listening to these young men, it takes a lot of courage to be able to say, I was part of that group that helped tear up a community, but it takes even more courage to say, I'm now part of that group that's going to build that community. Because you also understand why other young men may be out tearing up the community out of anger, frustration, nothing to do, a whole bunch of things that lead people to make decisions. And I think something that the captain said over here I thought was very, very, very profound, is that you brought him a lot of knowledge. Because once you have that knowledge, and I think you mentioned that earlier, knowledge is power, and it does change people's perspective. As you begin to learn more about what's going on around you, it changes you from a different vantage point. But you also have to have sense enough to take advantage of the knowledge, in terms of what's going on. So I want to commend all three of these young men for coming in and saying there is another way. There's something different that they can do out there, and rather than being a terrorist in the neighborhood, they can help build the neighborhood, you know. All these young men look like they're very healthy young men and could probably do a lot of damage if they figured out to do that. Okay. So again, Ernest, as a founder, as you began to put this organization together, give the audience a little bit of your thought process as you began to say, as you look around in your community and say, you know, something has to be done, and I'm the man that I think I can do something about it.
Right. Well, I founded it at our official founding day, October 15th, 2008. Like I say, as I was studying in the school that I worked at, actually, on February 1 month, Black History Month, and I had a good boss that let me teach the kids Black history, even though I wasn't a teacher in the school. I was just an assistant, and I also did airhouse security. So after February came and gone, she allowed me to keep teaching the kids Black history. Let me post things all up over the school, which allowed me to actually learn as I was teaching. And like I said, I come from East Cleveland, and I also been other places, and I got to see a big difference. So I got to see how the police treat us different, and how they treat people in other places. I got to see how the housing was different, how the educational system was different. And I felt that it was time for a change by me being so-called people know me. Let's just say that. So I used that to try to do something positive now.
And I'm just wondering, Ernest, as a founder, as you made a change, because say you're out there with one crowd of folks, and they knew you in one context.
Right.
And as you changed, how did they react to you as you began to change?
I can't say, like I tell everybody, I haven't had really a whole bunch of negativity. I get a couple jokes. I don't want to get Rodney King, but then that lead them open for me to explain to them that you gonna keep getting Rodney King, whether it's physical or mental or anything, if you don't stand up and do anything about it. If we just unite, we won't have to sell drugs, we won't have to rob, we won't have to steal, we won't have to do any of that. So I really haven't got any negativity from my close friends or just associates. Actually, by me used to running the streets, a lot of them, they actually like what I'm doing. So I'm just waiting on them to come on home all the way, as I like to call it.
But then you would have what we call that street credibility.
Right.
So people know that you've been there, you understand, and it's not somebody from the outside of the community coming in. It's people who actually been in the community, understand what's happening. And so the game can't be run on you in the sense because you know the people, they know you, and that type of thing, in terms of that. When we come back from our break, we're going to return with Ernest Smith, the founder of Oppressed People's Nation, Chris Oatman, who's the Minister of Music, and Captain John Gilmore, who's the captain of Oppressed People's Nation, and he's head of security. So we're going to see you guys on the other side of these few messages.